Thank you again for choosing Trapp Cadillac Chevrolet.
Trapp Cadillac Chevrolet has been serving South Louisiana for over 50 years. That's right, 50 years. No matter how much Trapp has grown, you can count on hometown feel, friendly service every time you stop it. Our unmatched service and diverse Chevrolet, Cadillac, and pre-owned inventory has set us apart as the preferred car dealer in South Louisiana. We're also known for our outstanding auto repair service, changing your oil quickly and easy financing.
We promise to always give the most in your auto buying experience here at Trapp Cadillac Chevrolet in Houma.
Hey everybody, welcome into Going Public. I am Harry McCullough. This week we'll talk with councilmen from Districts 4, 3, and 2. So District 4, of course, John Amity, the chairperson of the council. Carly Harding is the vice chair from District 2, and Clayton Voisin Jr., District 3. So guys, thanks so much for being with us. We're post-storm again, right? We've been post-storm for a while, it seems like, you know. And but yeah, we are post-storm, but I think we did okay, right, for the most part?
You know, Harry, I think we did. I think the people really took the forecast seriously, even though it was looking like maybe a 1 or a 2. They took it seriously. They went out, they cleaned up their yards, they picked up things, they tied things down, and I think that kept a lot of the damage down. I know in District 4, we've had a couple structures damaged. Most of the things were, you know, trees into the power lines. I did have a couple homes where the trees went into the roofs, a couple mobile homes. One, the roof just peeled up like a sardine can, but no injuries. No one was hurt. And I really have to commend the police departments and fire departments, because I know after the winds died down on Wednesday night, the sheriff's department came through and the Bayou Cane came through and cleared all the streets. And I would be willing to bet that the streets were cleared in record time. Yeah. I mean, they really did a very, very good job.
Yeah, I'd say 3 districts. So we'll take this opportunity, the first segment, to talk about District 4. A little bit more. Do you think we've hardened ourselves a little bit from Ida, which kind of helped in this storm?
Yeah, absolutely. And like you were mentioning, you know, we always seem to be post-storm. And it's unfortunate to say it this way, but we've really gotten good at what we do in preparation and getting these things done. I believe that even the power utilities companies, you know, they've come through, they've changed poles, you know, throughout the storms, and they have projects that really helped us. For a moment there, I thought I wasn't going to lose power, but a tree branch broke in one of those strong gusts of winds and took us out. But, you know, overall, I think the people were ready. They were prepared, and I just have to thank them for their patience. You know, it's difficult. You know, I can remember as a child we didn't have air conditioning, so to be without power wasn't a big deal. But now we've gotten accustomed to it, and you know, you keep a lot more food and stuff in freezers and things, and we didn't see from the public the outrage that may have happened in previous storms elsewhere and such. I think the people of Terrebonne Parish are really resilient and really stuck it out for the, you know, the whole of their neighbors as well as themselves.
I didn't see the roofs, you know, that many people losing power. That might be the new requirements of 6 nails instead of 4 and those kind of things. And we've all just replaced all our roofs 3-4 years ago. So I think that helps. But this was a power event, right? And when you talk to the companies, I know we've had the Infrastructure Act, and they've talked about eventually maybe doing some underground utilities. Does that ever come up with companies? And maybe now is not the time to talk about that.
We've talked to the companies about a lot of that, and of course they'd have to make a pretty good investment. The people would love to see it.
Instead of doing it every other year, though, you know.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, it's just like a levee system. You know, President Bergeron had come on and he mentioned the conversation we had with the Secretary of FEMA. And, you know, one of the things that they really pressed on her was, you know, our $1 billion investment saved them. He said $2 billion. I'd be willing to say $4 billion. Right. And why don't we get a discount for that? You know, and I think the same thing with the building codes and the structures. As we go through each one and everything's coming up to the newer building codes, I think that you're seeing these structures hold together better. You know, it was funny because I expected to wake up and see a lot of shingles in the yard and didn't see any.
Right. So it does show you that I don't know if we're doing the Miami-Dade codes and those kind of things, but our new codes seem to be working. I know the fortified roof program's another program that's going to be going, but I think
Right.
just having new rules and the new rules have helped out.
Yeah, and while we have a moment, I just want to mention the governor requested from the White House that declaration, which came in last night, the federal disaster declaration. So you're going to see some things coming forth. We're posting some numbers that people can apply for assistance that need those different types of assistance. I was trying to get some definite things on DSNAP, the food stamp program. So they're saying that the people, of course, that are already on the programs is going to see that increase come through. And for those that aren't, in about a week, you'll be able to apply for that, for some of the food losses. Some of the people like Second Harvesters are going to be doing some things. Catholic Charities are going to be doing some things. So I encourage everybody to keep an eye out. If they suffered a big loss in that event, because, one of the things we were really worried about is people weren't prepared. I mean, this thing happened in a very short time, so they weren't able to put a few dollars aside. We thought we were free and clear of the season, and so they were having to spend some of that money to run their generators, to keep their freezers frozen, and maybe some had to spend some money to evacuate. And so it's like, take advantage of what the government does. This is a perfect use for situations like this, where I don't mind my tax dollars going to help out people that have a loss.
Yeah, that was one of the big things after Ida was just finding fuel, right? If you had a generator going on, but the fuel seemed like they were up and running pretty fast.
Preparation, because the business OEP of Louisiana came in and they brought generators in and they got our stores up and running quickly. The sheriff invested in his facility over there, and he had his own fuel, so he didn't have to. He was able to provide fuel where that fuel was needed. Of course, the parish had fuel for their stuff, and without power, we had to keep all those pumps running. So I think the preparation, the things we've learned from Ida, we've grown and have done a better job.
Absolutely. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll check in with Districts 2 and 3 right here on Going Public.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough.
Welcome back to Going Public. I am Harry McCullough. We're speaking with John Amity, Carly Harding, and Clayton Voisin. We've gone through District 4, now over to Mr. Harding's district, District 2. How did things fare for your district?
They went reasonably well. I think in the segment we had with John, Mr. Amity, we were talking about electricity and the timing of the storm. We were logistically sound, but the preparation, because of Ida, people didn't waste any time in preparing for the hurricane. It was unfortunate that that we had to have no electricity. So we're looking at no electricity, and I recall coming from Lafayette Street, turning off into the Knockan Street area. Everything was pitch black. And to live in my district, in the inner city, it's not like some other districts where I roll my windows down. I heard very few generators, no lights. And after that, we had a problem so far as electricity and the food, how to move around. But they were very, very resourceful in reference to being able to help each other. I had an area in gray, and if you look at the graph, one thing about this particular hurricane, we wasn't short on data. And that's a particular app that Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government had actually had. It's going to show you real time, how much damage it was, whether it was severe, not as severe, moderate, very little, and we had the number of people in the shelter. So we want to look at, as we go forward, how we locate our pods, what's available with our shelters that we actually have, how well we can stock those shelters. There would be a recommendation that at the slightest of any discomfort within people's home, I would recommend that our shelters and our ability to provide shelters will be more plentiful and able to have those people to come over there, because once you go over there to that shelter, we'll find that there's an array of deaths with all those that information that people can actually have within that shelter, within that stay at that particular shelter. And we would have more of a focus point for those that are elderly and those that have particular illnesses. That was my interest, more to have the care of those that couldn't take care of themselves, the homeless and things like that. Being in the city, a lot of the folk, it was a bad time for them,
Right.
to hit. Usually in the older section where I live at, a lot of people on fixed incomes and having get the elderly in areas where they can actually be taken care of. Some people were caught in a situation where their food had spoiled. You look at the fact that their children were out of school, so the little food that you did have in there, and it's a little while before your supplement can actually get to you, it created more of a hardship on there. Another section that's down Gibson, it wasn't so much that they had so much damage. It's the fact that once their electricity was out, it was more of a requirement of hot food. You know what I mean? Me, myself, the rations that they actually serve, they were wanting a good warm meal. Mm-hmm. So I think as we go forward and perhaps setting up those shelters, we can get to the old soup line, where we can actually not only make those soup lines in those areas that we're going to distribute some of the supplies that they're in need. Everybody didn't need cleaning supplies. Everybody didn't need sandbags. A lot of the folk, and like John said, there's an electrical problem, right. and then and water.
Do we have, I should know this, but do we have shelters open? Were there people in shelters?
We had one. Okay. And it was rather strategic because of the center of the city, the municipal auditorium.
But you had to get there. Yeah.
But you had to get there, you know what I mean? Of course, they cleared the roads out, but more if we could use some of the gyms that we have, get some satellites, just like the school systems. They cook food in at one school and then distribute food out over there. That's the largest complaint that I have. It's difficult to say there wasn't any hardships, but then there are.
Sure.
But we were prepared. I think no storm is the same. We learn from each storm, and as at the end of the day, after the storm is over, we were in a conversation before we come in here. Our infrastructure, to have a focus on our infrastructure, so we can have better sewage, we can have better water, so we can provide better services for them. If we have better sewage and better drainage, we even have less of a problem that we have with our water, being able to use the water properly and things like that. So all in all, I appreciate all the people like the Red Cross and National Guard, the governor's coming down, and all the other agencies that came down to not only assist us, but then to work with us. That was the most greatest thing that we actually have. It's not so much that we had to make so many demands to them. It's just the fact that, they sat down and they listened to us. And that was the most important thing, is the fact that we're the one that's going through it and they listen.
Yeah, absolutely. Good response seemed really good here. All right, we'll take one more break. When we come back, we'll talk about District 3 right here on Going Public.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.
Everybody, well, welcome back to Going Public. Harry McCullough here. We District 3 now in Segment 3. Clayton Voisin Jr. Just before we get started, this didn't seem like an evacuation storm, and I don't know whether we didn't have time to or people just didn't respect a one or whatever it was. Did you see many people evacuating from your area?
Not at all. I got a handful of friends I saw on social media that were on vacation. I'm assuming that was planned long before this. But other than that, no.
No, I think most people wrote it out. And did your district do well as well? I guess when we were talking about it, it just seemed like our infrastructure was a little hardened from, 3 years ago. Same in District 3?
I'll say this. As y'all all know, Broadmoor is a little unique as a neighborhood, particularly with the trees, right? Kind of maybe like an Allendale, might be similar, right? I'm just going to contribute it all to the preparedness of the parish, the way the state responded with all the resources, the way law enforcement, fire, all our emergency responders worked during this thing, and of course all the volunteers. They can make a situation. It was fairly bad in Broadmoor with the trees versus power lines. Power lines usually lose, right? And that's what kind of happened. Yeah. So it was kind of ugly, but I can tell you with the preparedness and the response, and of course all these energy people, linemen, unbelievable response. That morning after, I couldn't believe my eyes. The amount of work was going on already, and the boots on the ground. And that's just a hat tip to the administration, the state, and everybody that responded so quickly to this thing.
Yeah, they were ready. And like I said, maybe we've learned a few lessons over the years, right, of how to come in. And it does sound good. Your area in particular, I'm thinking Broadmoor, they used to have some flooding issues back there. No problems with anything?
We didn't have really any flooding issues. Of course, thanks to the good response of the parish.
Pumped everything down.
We had sandbags available early. The systems, they never quit pumping from the last big rain event, except in areas that were pumped down to its lowest level. So they were very active in staying and keeping these systems maintained, which was a big saving grace from a water standpoint, because if I'm not mistaken, I think we did get about 10, 11 inches. So normally that can create some issues at people's doorsteps, right? And you combine that with wind, it's not a real good recipe to stay dry when it's at your doorstep, right?
Right.
But us having the resources, it was very encouraging to see people taking this serious. You got to understand, I think it was 8,000 sandbags were picked up. It's like a new record, is what I was told. I think the previous was like 5,000. So the people is what made this thing less impactful than it could have been. Even with just the damage we had, plus the response, it just made it feel like it wasn't as bad as it really was, in my opinion, from what I saw throughout my district.
Yeah.
And just a great job by everybody involved.
So did you have any folks that need to go to shelters or were generators, did you hear the generators come on, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, there was a couple people in my district that I helped them get to the shelter. They were concerned, a little elderly, but still active.
Yeah.
So they went. Generators, it was everywhere. I had one little incident in the district where a family actually had to evacuate. They started feeling bad.
monoxide?
They evacuated the house and called emergency services. Of course, the neighbors went into action to help them, like we do here.
Yeah, sure.
And it was just a real community event to help these people. And sure enough, there was carbon monoxide in the home. That's why, you know, y'all and most people always stress the importance of generator safety. And it was kind of a freak accident the way it happened. I won't go into details, but it's just an example of how things can happen. And these are experienced people that have been through many storms with generators.
You know, I remember covering one, you know, after Katrina, you know, you were thinking, hey, we got a generator, but people were worried somebody might steal it if it's out too far away from their house. Well, they got it too close to their house. And yeah, we've had issues with that. I think that's another thing we've learned how to do is how to prepare. You get fuel before the storm. You're not worried about trying to find it after. You're not doing these things, you know, you learn how to use a generator, which is all important. So as you took an autopsy of your whole district, everything seemed good.
Pretty good. You know, the Broadmoor area, of course, and even in the Bayou Cane area and the Oakshire area, lots of tree trimming had to take place, right? Because some of those areas had been neglected in reference to power lines, right? I know people are really concerned, particularly in Broadmoor. Those trees are historical from the Funderburg family, and I definitely understand that. So what I did today, I got Mr. Barton Joffrey on to come out with me and discuss this with the supervisors that are running these tree cutting projects for Entergy, right? And Mr. Joffrey said that they were doing everything correctly.
Oh, it's good.
And he's a forester. It's not my expertise. That's why I brought him in. I wanted some neutral party to tell me that they're doing it correctly.
Well, you got the right expert too, right?
Yes,
To help
sir.
you. So, well, guys, thanks so much for the updates. I'm glad to hear we all kind of did pretty good. So let's just hope this is the last one that we have to do this.
Hope so.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
That's Going Public for this week. I'm Harry McCullough. We'll see you next time.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.